So for me, the scientific world and the religious world exist on two different planes. The scientific world exists on the plane of fact, and the religious world exists on the plane of myth. And for me, it sometimes can be a bit of an uncomfortable balance, but I am able to obtain that. So for example, I don't believe that the world was created literally in 6 24-hour days, the way that it is suggested in the first chapter of the book of Genesis. I believe, along with the physicists and cosmologists, that the universe came into being over billions of years. But that first chapter of Genesis is my sacred story from my tradition as to how the universe came into being. And so for me, it still holds that mythical power, even though I am able to hold the scientific world in my mind at the same time. So as each new scientific discovery comes to light, then I rejoice to see us having a broader knowledge of the universe, and it has not impacted in any way on my faith. There is a teaching in one of our books, it's called Pirkei Avot, Chapters of Our Fathers, that says the world stands on three things: on Torah, on Avodah, and on Gemilut Chasadim. Torah is sacred study. Jews believe that we can access the presence of God through our sacred study, and of course we grow in learning through that process. Through Avodah, which is worship, so through prayer we grow closer to God and to one another. And then finally through Gemilut Chasadim, which are acts of kindness. And all three of those are central to the idea of the Jewish values, that we seek to draw closer to God, we seek to draw closer to one another, and we seek to engage in the sacred act of tikkun olam, which means healing or repairing the world, leaving the world a better place than when we came into it. So as far as I'm concerned, the question of why do bad things happen to good people is the central and most vexing question of faith. And I'm not sure really that there are any completely satisfactory answers. I believe with Harold Kushner that there are three statements that cannot stand at the same time, which are: bad things happen to good people, God is all good, and God is all powerful. Really, if bad things happen to good people and God is all powerful, then God cannot be all good, because if God were all good, then these terrible things would not happen. So along with Rabbi Kushner, I have personally chosen to set aside this idea of God being all powerful, because it's more important for me to embrace a concept of God who is all good than to believe that every moment in the world is manipulated by God. And in fact, Judaism at its core embraces an idea of free will, that we are free to create the world around us. That in part can explain human evil, but of course it doesn't really allow for the natural disasters and tragedies that befall us. And so in those moments of suffering, I choose to see God as present in the love and caring that human beings can show for one another, especially for those who are suffering.